around the government's failure to tackle illegal migrant crossings, Msrgaret Thatcher's former advisor Nile Gardiner broke the internet this week with the following tweet saying that Msrgaret Thatcher would have stopped the boats. Quote, tweeting a fellow commentator who invoked the memory of Thatcher, Gardiner wrote, "The Iron Lady would definitely stop the boats today as Prime Minister. Not a single migrant boat would be landing on British soil on her watch. She is greatly missed." Well, I'm delighted to say that the former aide to Msrgaret Thatcher, broadcaster, writer and foreign policy analyst Nile Gardiner joins me now. Nile, what makes you so sure Mrs T would have fixed this complex problem?
Well, Mark, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show today. And it's certainly my view that Lady Thatcher would have dealt highly effectively with the small boats crisis. She would not have allowed the vast number of migrants to cross the English Channel onto British soil. She would have stopped those boats. She would have used whatever power was necessary in order to do so, including, of course, the full might of the Royal Navy. And also, I'm sure that Lady Thatcher would have taken Britain out of the European Convention on Human Rights. ECHR is absolutely outrageous in terms of limiting British sovereignty, self-determination. And she would have, I think, stopped this migrant crisis completely in its tracks. And we would not be in the situation that we're facing today. There's far too much weakness. There's a lack of real will to deal with the situation. And a world power like Great Britain should be able to stop this kind of small boats invasion that we are witnessing. And Lady Thatcher would have emphatically, I think, dealt with this issue.
However, Niall, as you well know, probity was a key theme of Thatcher's premiership. She wouldn't have wanted to have broken international law, would she?
Well, I think that increasingly Lady Thatcher was of the view that European supranationalism posed a tremendous threat to British sovereignty and self-determination. In fact, in her last book, Statecraft, she outlined her vision for Britain's future role outside of the European Union. And I'm in no doubt that if she were Prime Minister today, she would be taking the UK outside of the ECHR. Of course, it's not an EU court, but it's a supranational court which includes all of the members of the European Union. Britain should not be part of a court that basically prevents the UK from deporting illegal migrants, stopping migrants from entering into the UK. She would have stood up for British sovereignty, for British freedom, for self-determination, and I'm in no doubt she would have stood up to the Eurocrats who are trying to still hold sway over British law today, even though the UK, of course, is outside of the European Union now. So we should not have supranational courts dictating a British immigration policy here. It's absolutely outrageous. She would have, I think, thrown the ECHR completely out.
Niall, you've written a fascinating article in The Telegraph this week about another snub for Britain by Joe Biden, this time in relation to the Prime Minister's flagship Artificial Intelligence Summit. What's happened?
Well, so Rishi Sunak unveiled in Washington earlier in the summer very ambitious plans for a large-scale artificial intelligence conference summit to be held in the UK at Bletchley Park in November. And this was the flagship announcement of his visit to the White House with Joe Biden. But Joe Biden has deliberately snubbed Britain by saying that he will not attend the AI conference, even though all the other leaders of the G7 are attending it. Even Emmanuel Macron is attending the AI summit. So it's a real snub from Joe Biden. It's a further reflection of the fact, I think, that Biden hates Britain. He's an extremely rude, arrogant president. And it's time for Rishi Sunak to stand up to Biden, stand up for Britain. I think there has been far too much weakness projected in the face of the left-wing Biden administration. We need to have a Prime Minister standing up to Biden, who does not treat Britain like a friend and ally. In fact, he knifed the candidacy of Ben Wallace to be the next Secretary General of the NATO alliance. He also, of course, sank the prospects for a US-UK trade deal. He made all sorts of threats against Britain over the Northern Ireland Protocol. Joe Biden is no friend of Britain, actually. And so the Prime Minister should stand up to Biden and stand up for the British national interest.